Hampshire are one of hundreds affected by the withdrawal of gluten-free prescriptions for celiac disease. Kate and Simon from Waterlooville have 2 daughters with the condition. They say without the prescription of gluten-free bread, their food bill will increase by £15 to £20 a week. The local healthcare board said its decision took into consideration a range of factors. Sophia Seth has more.
So this is the last of our prescription. We have prescription bread for both our daughters, so Ella and Amelia.
Kate's 2 daughters are celiac. The family only became aware when the youngest Amelia started getting ill.
She was losing weight, her colouring had changed, she'd got a really extended bloated tummy and randomly vomiting.
2 years ago, Amelia was diagnosed as being celiac, and because it can be hereditary, the whole family were checked, and big sister Ella also has the condition.
I understand it's something that affects your tummy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What does it do to your tummy when you eat something that isn't the food that you should eat?
Poorly.
And how does it make you feel? Is it sore?
Sick.
You feel sick?
When a person with celiac disease eats gluten, symptoms include bloating, stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhoea and tiredness. In the long term, it can lead to conditions such as osteoporosis, neurological dysfunction, unexplained infertility, and in rare cases, even small bowel cancer. So for celiacs, it's important for them to have a strict gluten-free diet, something the family were being supported with via NHS prescriptions for gluten-free food.
You could have that bit of.
Oh, thank you, that's very kind.
They receive monthly boxes, which include 16 packs of bread rolls and 8 loaves of bread. But in January, the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Integrated Care Board stopped gluten-free prescriptions in Hampshire. Such prescriptions had already stopped on the Isle of Wight prior to the care services joining in 2021.
It's probably, I'd say it's probably going to add something like about £20 a week to our shop.
Yeah, so
Easily.
on average between 15 to 20.
Yeah.
Again, it depends if having toast, sandwiches, toasties, and that's not even considering the wraps and things, which are astronomical in price.
And how are you feeling about this?
Well, obviously nervous, but yeah, what can we do?
No, it's time as well. So again, we do go around several different supermarkets, so there'll be certain items in one supermarket that another one won't do.
They're now budgeting for their more expensive food bills.
Because we might not be able to go and do lots of other things that we want to do, right?
We do got money in
In your piggy banks.
Oh, you're going to use your piggyback money to buy your bread?
if Mummy and Daddy doesn't got money.
Oh, that's really sweet. That's so kind. In a statement, the NHS Hampshire and Isle of Wight ICB told us, "We are constantly needing to make difficult decisions to get best value for money. The decision was not taken lightly and took into consideration a range of both clinical and social factors, including the wider availability of gluten-free products in supermarkets." They also added, "If you think you or someone you care for has an exceptional medical reason to receive gluten-free foods on prescription, please discuss this with your GP practice and you may be able to apply for an individual funding request."
If it was a diet choice, it would be one thing, but this is a choice the girls haven't made. People don't opt to necessarily go gluten-free. It is an autoimmune condition that a prescription, you'd give tablets to help another situation. It's just a different form of medication.
Earlier, I asked Tristan Humphreys from the charity Coeliac UK why gluten-free foods should be available on prescription.
Look, celiac disease is a serious autoimmune disease, and the only treatment is a strict gluten-free diet for life. And that's really important because failure to stick to that diet can lead to not only debilitating symptoms like diarrhoea, stomach pain, vomiting, but also in the long term, associated conditions, things like osteoporosis, neurological dysfunction, unexplained infertility, and even in rare cases, small bowel cancer. So it's really important we do everything we can to make sure someone can maintain that diet. But it's expensive and it's hard to access. So that's why gluten-free prescriptions play such an important role. And it's why it's so concerning that they've been withdrawn in this case.
Do you think that the NHS here is saving money in the short term, but it actually might cost it more in the long term?
It's a false economy. The cost of having to treat those long-term associated conditions like osteoporosis or neurological dysfunction are so much greater than the cost of providing that support in the short term through gluten-free prescriptions. The cost of gluten-free prescriptions in England was 0.07% of total prescription spend. Okay? That's tiny compared to the cost that would come from having to deal with those really challenging conditions.
What are the impact going to be on families? I'm thinking, in terms of the costs that they're having to pay. We're in a cost of living crisis after all.
Look, absolutely, we're hearing from people in Hampshire who are really struggling. Okay, these are challenging times, but they're particularly challenging for people with celiac disease. The cheapest loaf you can get will be 6 times as expensive on average. Even if you can afford it, there's no guarantee you'll be able to find it on the shelf. So, we hear from people with celiac disease all the time. They have to go to 3 or 4 shops just to get the basics that they need. Even online, there's no guarantee that your shop will arrive with that gluten-free bread in the basket. It may well not be available, often isn't. And that's particularly challenging for people that live in rural areas or poorer areas.
How has this been handled? It's a bit of a postcode lottery, isn't it?
That this has been handled really poorly. They haven't consulted patients, they haven't consulted experts in the condition, and they haven't looked at the evidence. The ICB need to look at this again, and they need to change this decision.
Tristan Humphreys, there we must leave it. Thank you for joining us this evening.